Welcome to the Golden Feather. Grab a pint, a plate, and pick your seats. Your hosts, Virtek and Chibi Bree, are back from their latest adventures.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Golden Feather podcast. Today we have episode 5, the Siege of the Seven.
Yeah, that's 7.
We have our guest, Telkar from Sons of the Seven with us today. Hello.
How's it going?
And we're going to be chatting about castle sieges, and we're going to be chatting about last week's big announcement with the creative director's letter, and, Sons of the Seven. We'll find out more about them. So how are you doing, Telkar? Introduce yourself a little bit. Who are you?
So my name's Telkar. I'm the guild leader of Sons of the Seven. Myself, 31 years old. Been playing games since I was 8 years old, so however much veterancy and experience that gives you. In terms of what I do, Sons of the Seven is led by me. We don't have any kind of a council group or anything, but the organization itself is designed in an interesting way, and I'm sure we're going to get into that later. But overall, we're a PvX hybrid group that's also got a lot of RP focus as well. If you can see behind me, the banners that we've got are already made and ready to go for the game. So
already fully monetized, ready to take over the con, one banner, posting at a time.
Like that. Yep, something like that for sure.
I like it.
And we have my co-host here, Virtek.
Oh hi. How's everybody doing today?
And where you can find Virtek?
Well, Virtek, you can find it Virtek or DJ Virtek pretty much everywhere. Still working on making sure I get myself out there and talk more on the Twitch. And the Twitter and the Facey Space and pretty much any social media. I kind of lurk and read everybody else's stuff more than post things of my own. Like, I'll know everything about everybody, but I don't really return the favor of information much. But
Yeah,
I'm trying.
It's also hard to push him to get him to stream sometimes because he's a busy guy.
Yeah, a little bit.
But he's trying.
It's alright. Slowly making more time.
And I'm Chibi Bree, and I'm the other co-host of the stream, the podcast. And I pretty much work on intro videos as well, and we like interviewing people within the community. So if you have an interest in our podcast and would like to be a guest, feel free to write us and let us know. You can always join our Discord and get to know us offline as well. So, castle sieges and updates that they have this week. Not really much on the update side of the news section for Ashes right now. I think they're slowly working on that. But we did get a little factoid that was posted, which we'll go over later. Gives us a little bit more of an interesting look into what castle sieges are going to be like. But for now, Telkar we have with the Sons of the Seven, and let's see. Let me just get this over here. Okay. So yeah, what exactly is it that you guys are about, like, as far as Ashes goes? Are you guys from any other game as well, or just Ashes of Creation?
I'll give you a little bit of background. Many of my gaming friends that we've played games with through, EverQuest 2, WoW, into Eve, and then other things, had been wanting to kind of craft our own group for a specific type of game. And after we stopped playing Eve, there was nothing really left out there. And me and the co-founder of the guild that was part of that group saw Ashes back during the the Kickstarter, and before that I had been watching it, and finally decided to pull the trigger and organize a group of people based on a common idea. So we don't have a background in any other game. We started fresh. We started off of just the concept of the guild, recruited out of the pretty hyped activity that was in the initial Kickstarter phase when, that Discord was blowing up, talking to specific people that have a kind of mutual interest, and found people that are actually kind of in the same line of what we're trying to do in the long term of the game. Really what drove us to want to make our own group, and then what made me want to lead it, is that we were kind of unsatisfied with the way that a lot of the guilds had been run, or the corporations specifically in EVE, that led to their eventual downfall through things that are common in Civilization games: envy, dissatisfaction, disgruntlement, that kind of stuff. So we crafted a group that's based on quite a number of things. I'm sure we'll go into that a little bit more, but overall we're focused mostly on Ashes. We do have other interests right now. We're pretty active on Atlas. That's a game that we didn't think was going to be a success for us, but we had 20-25 people that went into it, just something to do over the holiday break, and it turned out to be a really positive, powerful thing for us, and we did pretty well in that game before the wipe that just happened. But other than that, we have a large focus, as a group, on Ashes, and pretty much only Ashes. Once we're getting into play that's everything else is getting dropped, and we're going to have hopefully a pretty big resurgence in the number of members that's waiting for that game. So
yeah, it's like the question of the year right now is, when is Ashes coming?
Right.
Everyone really wants to focus on it, but there's not much to focus on at the moment, unless you're keeping tabs on like the current PvP ground of Discord. But aside from that, yeah, it's funny how, like you said, you jumped in for a random little side game to kill some time, and it ended up actually catching on with some people. Like, you just randomly stumble into things that turn out to be really good.
Yep, it's surprising, but there's a lot of room to grow into games if you're willing to try them often enough, and I think there's a lot of attitudes out there right now. Everyone's waiting for their perfect game, but we're also trying to have fun as a group, so it's kind of a good thing to try to find a common ground and meet new people and stuff. So
yeah, and I feel like a lot of groups out there, I know our guild is also as well, but a lot of groups, in order to kind of feel like an active community right now, because there's no actual game to be active in currently. Even if you could count the testings aren't up 24/7. So I feel like a lot of groups right now are looking for a way to kind of be able to simulate that actual guild being like in the live game, and being able to collaborate together and see where people work best, and like learn how to be a guild, essentially.
Yeah, see if you can work together, see if you get along, that kind of stuff. That's all kind of part of the process, and my goal as a leader is to make sure everybody's having fun, but also that we're competent. It's not we're trying to do well at the games we play, and it's always nice to have a group. For us at least, that's what our focus is to try to be. We don't really care about being the best, but being happy with our results. That's kind of one of our initiatives and what we've kind of designed it around. So
yeah, another important thing would be having like the same common goal. For example, like if you're a progressive type of guild, or if you're more of a laid back type of guild, and having people that join understand that, hey, just so you know, we are a progressive type of guild, so you're expected to do this. If you're looking for more of a chill one, I can point you in the right direction, kind of thing.
Definitely.
So what is your charter about on your website?
So this is the original document that me and the co-founder came up with, that was based off of several of the ideas that, like I said, we had discovered through me a decade of playing EVE, and then also the other gaming experiences I'd had. And I asked myself the question, what would I want in a group, and what would motivate me to succeed in a civilization builder? And Ashes is definitely not a hardcore civilization builder by design, at least from what we can tell right now. It's a hybrid between a PvE, fantasy setting, and then also something more along the lines of like what the nullsec secure, 0/0 stuff is in EVE, where you're the game is literally just the players fighting each other. There's a nice hybrid combination with that, and we wanted to kind of craft a document that guides us and helps hopefully create a positive and interesting thing to base ourselves on as we move forward.
Yeah, I really like the way your pillars are set up.
Yeah.
I'll just kind of go over it. If you're watching, you can see I'm sure y'all are going to be looking at it too. But the kind of basic 3 tenets of our group is that there's 3 pillars of a organization that we feel are the things that you require to be effective and have a long-lasting group. Our first one is, we call it primacy. That includes our divisions of the guild, which is military might, political power, and economic eminence. Those 3 things are what you need to be successful in the operations side of a game. All of those 3 things, you can kind of come up with a place to fit those within an organizational structure. Being a competitor, being someone that's a high-end group, so to speak, is you're going to need to have a basis and a code of conduct to kind of follow through with, and then base off of, if trouble does come, you can look back at that. Military actions and ashes are pretty obvious. You need to have a group to protect your caravans. You need to have people that are willing to fight to protect your land, to protect your city, to protect that kind of stuff. We're not focusing on military as a prime action. Our goal isn't to be, the mercenary, we're going to go, you hire us, we'll kill everybody. We just need a group to handle that part of the game, because it's a necessity to be on the main stage. To kind of follow that up, the political power part of our group is focused on creating and negotiating agreements with other guilds and organizations. They are going to be charged with maintaining and setting up deals between caravan trade runs, between allies, and then also doing investigations and looking for potential weaknesses or ways we could profit off of competitors or enemies.
Question, just kind of offshoot there with your primacy pillar there. You mentioned the military might, political power, and economic eminence. With those being 3 separate node types, like civilization node types, do you guys have a preferred ideal on which direction you'd like to go with it? Yeah,
so we kind of built this to be a sequential thought to kind of succinctly finish this. So, you need military, you need political power, so to speak. You need all these things those 2 things to be effective and be a prime actor, so to speak. The final point for us is in economic eminence. I put the quote on there, "He who has the gold makes the rules." And many times in the case in these kind of games, those that own the economy or control it, be it through crafting, be it through creating markets, be it through being a supplier of wars, those kind of things, those are the people that are actually the true power in a game. However, our group is not trying to create an oligarchy. We're trying to create I'll just read it to you. Sons of the Seven will be based on a combination of a laissez-faire economic style and with a strong focus on mercantilism. What that means to us is we want to empower our members to work for themselves and use the systems of the guild and our other assets, the military, the politics, and then our prestige as a group to create their own wealth in the game. Those that are self-incentivized in games typically perform better and last longer, and that's a lesson that I learned the hard way in EVE, and then also in real life too.
Right.
But, our goal as a group is, like I said, to create an environment where any one person can access the greater whole and get out of it what they, anything that they want. So an example of this would be in the economic eminence division of our guild, we'll have a master of we will have an incentivized masters of all of the crafts. So they will have a way of supplying the guild members with their talent and then also profiting off it to outside groups as well. We will be routing resources to those people that are committing to that mastery as a group. and then they are expected to give back to the group as a whole. So it's kind of, you can't be you can't do everything in this game in the same amount of time that a group that's all working together for a common kind of thing, and we're all making sure we cover all the bases. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Do you guys have anything planned as far as a guild? As far as I know in previous guilds I was in for other games, if you crafted something that was useful towards, for example, raids, like when you're an alchemist, you can create potions and stuff that'll help with whatever the next biggest raid is. Do you guys do that kind of like the guild point system, if you will, or like a brownie point?
That's one of the things that we want to test. I've had good luck with various regular old, the WoW style or the theme park one. I've had success with DKP. I've had success with one called Suicide Kings in terms of like a point system. We're going to work on several different ones to work and test during it, but overall the hopeful goal with this is that as a group you can access the other people in your peerage inside of the whole of the membership core, and at no cost to you get things made. No profit margin. You would be expected to provide mats, but no member should be profiting off of a transaction with another member, and
right.
the guild will incentivize that. We may have like a membership point system to kind of track transactions and things like that, to make sure to help people kind of feel rewarded for what they're doing. And those are all things we're looking at on the side, but our goal is to have a very camaraderie based thing where we all trust each other, and that everyone expects, and it's transparent enough to where we're not, you're not getting ripped off. You should be expecting, hey, hey Telkar, can you craft me this weapon? Yeah, sure, just bring me the materials. Oh, you don't have them? Okay, well, we'll see how we can buy them for you through our trade them.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, I've always been a big fan of the EPGP system because of that. Because you could literally have people that they are good at dominating the economic realm and the tradecraft realm, right, but they're not so good at raiding, and they know it. They always stand in the red. They don't know how to activate their abilities on time, but they will more than happily support.
I said right.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
We're definitely planning on, this is based on recruitment and then how we kind of end up shaping as a core raiding group. We don't have a lot of people that can commit to the full kind of world first style raiding gameplay, if that makes sense. If we have the membership capacity to run, if it's a 40-man raid at that tier, I fully expect that we will try to work with that and then make it a priority as all three of our primacy divisions will work on, if these people are going to commit to going to world first and putting Sons of the Seven on the main stage that way, we're going to try to provide them all of their resources. So the eco power people, the political power people, and the military people are all going to do their expertise. If they, whatever they like to do, they're going to be able to assist the greater whole in that way. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Sniffle booty, wherefore art thou, sniffle booty?
The question I was going to ask was going back to what you were talking about within your guild, as far as if somebody needs like a weapon or whatever, you guys would work with them. Does that go into your ethics tier?
So that's to follow through into the next pillar. That would be part of it, but it has more to do with the the pillar will help kind of decide, help you understand that, the loyalty and then respecting each other kind of thing. But it's more based on an economic model than that. When this game launches, think about what has to happen. There's going to be a mass land grab where everybody goes to try to gather up whatever they can to claim their space or whatever it ends up being. If you have 50 people in a guild that are all competing for the same thing to try to go, I want to be a smith. Okay, well, everybody's a smith. Everyone's competing for those possibly novel resources that only one person gets. And then there's disgruntlement. People get upset. People get mad or whatever. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you have a group that's working together, one for all for one kind of thing, I've committed to a different aspect, and my job is to go work on this thing at the launch, at the start, during this critical phase. I'm going to be doing that, and that alone, and then committing to the whole. I'm expecting to get the other things I want later after we've established, right? That's the kind of mentality.
Okay.
There's a buddy of mine from a guild in Star Wars, SOTOR, when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Anrez. He is such on point when it comes to economic stuff. Like, his Twitter handle is Econ PvP is life.
Nice.
But that was his outlook on things. Is I'm just gonna pay for you guys to get through it, and once you beat it, you're gonna then carry me. Sure.
Yeah, that's kind of our mindset too. We have a lot of people, and then the general interest with the group in terms of most of the people that are their background in games, and then some in real life too, is in the economic side. So we're definitely heavily tilted towards the triangle or whatever of Echo. Political smaller and military smaller, but that's where a lot of the interest is in terms of all the systems of crafting, gathering, breeding, all that kind of stuff. That's really where our home is going to be in terms of the mindset. So that's what we're trying to build the group out of.
Yeah.
To jump into where how we do that. The ethics part of it is the next step. And I'm just going to read it off to you. For the ethics pillar of our group, and this is just verbatim, the respectable conduct of our members is the foundation on which Sons of the Seven's empire is built. We recognize that primacy can be achieved through backstabbing, treachery, and villainy, but we believe the path chosen is the one of honorable intent. How one plays the game is just as important as how well one plays. So the next set of tenets, honor, loyalty, and commitment, kind of go into how, what we're going to be, what standards we hold ourselves to, is what, internally and then externally. It's pretty standard activity in terms of we're trying to treat each other and then even our enemies with respect, but we're not going to, we're not going to let anybody in the group that's, the same, you hear stuff like racism and stuff like that. Those are all expected to not be part of this. We're trying to be a professional group of, like-minded people, and none of that kind of stuff is going to be allowed.
Keeping civility between guilds, even if you don't have an agreement, and also making sure that you keep and maintain that appearance of being well respected.
Right. It's also how you develop good competitive rivalries instead of bitter arch nemesis that are trying to burn the world.
Right.
Yeah, we fully expect that there will be that type of thing that goes on. There's going to be that kind of thing will happen. There's going to be problems in nodes clusters. There's going to be a bad actor that's part of an alliance that drops out and flips the switch and kills the whole thing or something like that. That's going to happen at some point. There's going to be traitors, there's going to be moles, there's going to be all that kind of stuff. But our goal is to try to hold ourselves at a high standard from the start. But we're not explicitly excluding ourselves from protecting us first as a group. In the last line in the honor section, we say errant player killing falling outside of battle is prohibited. So we're not going to randomly kill non-war targets, but if there's a war target, a bounty, or any other approved enemies of the state, so to speak, we're totally going to engage in that.
Like free for all.
You have to be competitive like that. You have to. If you abstain, you will not be successful. If you don't partake, but we're not going to be bloodthirsty, if that's the good word.
So I'm safe to go out and go, hunting for my mats without expecting somebody from Sons of the Seven to just come up and snipe me.
We would,
for lack of a better word.
If you're from an enemy state, I can't guarantee that.
Oh.
Because you're here to poach you're on the king's land, you're poaching his deer, whatever. But
right.
Those kind of things, we will try to make it best stated. If you're an enemy or you don't have an agreement to be here, you're going to have, a chance to leave. And if you don't, then that's when we act. And we enacted this policy to the full power we could in Atlas, for example. We asked people, hey, what are you doing on our land? Can you please leave? Or do you have anything to trade for what you've already taken, or thing? We'll try to be amicable, but we're not.
Some good sportsmanship.
And our goal with that.
Sorry. I was gonna say, so would I be able to be like, oh, I'm here for some mats to make cloth. I'd be happy to make the cloth and give you some in trade. Okay.
That's mutual respect between groups is part of why we were successful in Atlas. In Atlas, we started off with a hard group of people, but our goal was to create a trading network, and we gave people a chance to work with us, gave people an opportunity to kind of fall under the already growing umbrella of trade partners based on a mutual respect for each other. And that's the
really
kind
cool.
of that kind of mentality is how you empower the economic group of people.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And then I think the final thing is governance.
Right. I'm going to just read it verbatim again because this will be self-explanatory. Primacy and ethics alone are insufficient qualities to produce a lasting influence on Ashes of Creation or any game of that type. Power can be squashed through the backdoor dealings of disenchanted rivals. Economic superiority can be usurped with reorganized intent of smaller empires, and honorable intent can be eroded away by the practicalities of maintaining power. Thus, the final and third pillar of the Sons of the Seven is governance. The exercise of superior leadership must be utilized in guiding us through the treacherous waters of power and influence. And what this basically is saying is that, power corrupts, and it corrupts absolutely. There's always the temptation when you're a leader to siphon off a little bit of the gold from the guild supply to pay for your convenience fee, or to do your thing, and then no one's going to know because no one else has the log. You're the one managing the books. So the way we're doing that is through involvement, purpose, and vision. The goal for us as a group is to, like I said before, empower self-interested actors, people that are desiring to make the game for themselves, and by involving them at a very high level to be part of a larger whole and feel like they're a cog in the wheel that's actually having an impact versus just dumping the day's resources or whatever you gathered into a tab and then it just disappears. There's actually going to be feedback for that, your guild quest systems, things like that create a tangible and incentivized reward for people to participate in all the activities of the group. And then our purpose is to be a top tier player on the civilization stage, and our way of doing that is through primacy. So we're trying to find and cultivate talent in our group. Maybe there's somebody that wants to learn about how markets work. Somebody that wants to know how a distribution system works. All the things that work in real life also work in these kind of games. So we have experts, people that are doing this for their living, that want to play the game and do the same thing. Apparently, I guess, why do you want to do that? But we're helping create an environment of extended learning and ownership of your what you're doing in the game, and then also with the group.
Okay.
Gotcha. But yeah, I really like how those pillars are set up.
Yeah, same.
There's a lot of thought put into it.
So, does your guild have any reaction to the most recent director's letter?
We've mostly been hibernating in terms of the large core, the group, waiting for just something to do. The BR was not an interest for us as a whole.
Okay.
It may have been something to do, but the amount of uptime was so poor that we could never organize anybody to play around it. And then there's also just no interest in playing that style of game right now. Like I said before, most of our interest is on the economics part of the game, and then the fantasy setting kind of stuff. So
right,
we're not we're waiting for Castle Sieges to play. That's going to be try to be a big place where we come onto the main stage and play that. But I was expecting a delay, to be honest.
I was too.
When they missed several deadlines in a row and we didn't hear anything for a while, you could tell that there was some problems. Plus, they have grown in size, number of staff by 100 people. You got to get those people working and organized, and the studio's moving. There's gonna be problems and delays and stuff. So people expecting a release, a full release by 2020, manage your expectations. It's
Yeah, I mean, I heard a bunch of people saying, like, but they promised, but they said, but they whatever. Yeah, well, some people get really optimistic and they really get driven. They get behind that, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then reality jumps in, and you just got to realize that happens sometimes.
And like sometimes servers need a little bit more back-end support than they initially thought. And I mean, they even said in the thing that we're about to cover, the 10 facts about the castle sieges, they even said in that they were able to do the 200 player test and are working towards vamping up for being able to prep the servers for that. And they also mentioned in the creative director's letter that the same thing pretty much.
Right, yeah.
So
It's bananas the progress they're making. And to be honest, if you were to make like a 10-minute trip to visit family or whatever, you have no idea if your tire's gonna go flat and then like 40 miles from any city. That's gonna cause you a little bit of delay. They had no ideas their servers were gonna like whatever happened to them because we don't know details on it.
Right.
But they had to rebuild everything from the ground up. They had no idea that was coming. But it did. So you kind of gotta roll with the punches sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah, I have faith that they can do it. You know, I've met them all in person, multiple times now, and I feel that their confidence has instilled me with the passion to continue supporting it. And I'm not, I have a pretty large pledge. I'm not unsatisfied with it at this point. There's a point where if there's continued delays and it turns out there's like a 3-year delay or something, of course I'm going to be upset. But I'm kind of used to this kind of open development thing because I've been a Star Citizen backer for 6 years or whatever. So I know how delays and expectations change over time, and hopefully we can get some gameplay to start playing and really get involved. That's the next step the community needs, Yeah,
if anybody wants to talk about delays, Star Citizen supporter would be one.
Right.
Launch went from like 2012 expected launch up to like 2032 expected launch. I mean, it's a little bit excessive there on the analogy, but
yeah, the scope has grown on that game to be 17 times the game it was before. Whereas hopefully Ashes doesn't grow in scope. It's just what they said, and they'll be able to deliver it. Because if they do, I'm stoked.
Yeah, no scope creep. Just keep it what it is. And build on what you want to do after launch. Just get it launched with what you promised, and that's all we need. That's all we need.
Right.
But so yeah, with the Castle CG stuff coming out, like, do you have any let's say unclassified approaches or unclassified plans as far as how you're gonna look to kind of dominate that?
We we're building a core of kind of operations people, the military might side of things in Atlas. We're trying to prepare to be that group, to be engaged by that mechanic, and our eventual goal is to pivot away from the other testing ground games into the Castle Sieges when it comes out. We were hoping it would be sooner, like now, rather than later, but that's the reality. So we're still honing our new organization into something effective, hopefully, through playing those other kind of games that have that squad and organizational PvP aspect that you need to have to be probably competitive in Castle Sieges. So that's it. In terms of strategies and stuff, give me a map and I'll break it down to you. But until we have a map, there's nothing I can tell. We don't even know if the abilities are going to stay the same at this point.
That's fair.
So.
It would be nice if they gave us a little bit of a trickle. But
right. I would
guess...
a Alterac Valley style, like top-down view. Just give us something, right?
Right.
Something to start theorizing and salivating over.
Right.
Plus, not to mention, and I guess I'll go ahead and swap us into the next topic here about the 10 facts about Castle Sieges in the MMORPG, and how they kind of talk about each castle has a different approach to it, really, that you're gonna have. So they're not only are you gonna have these massive battles, but the tactic and strategy is gonna be important because as I was trying to explain before, a castle here in America is gonna be different than a castle in maybe Ireland. We're gonna have a different building setup, we're gonna have a different land setup, and so I enjoy the fact that each of the castles are going to have a different unique strategy that you have to try to figure out, like the pros and cons of each one, and they even label it all the way down to the ability to decipher like the best weather type and time of day to be able to attack the castle.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that?
I kind of expected this kind of thing. That's the kind of gameplay that Steven's a fan of. He wants there to be kind of a, you know what Markov chains are? He wants there to be like that kind of gameplay in the world as part of what makes it a lasting experience, because no two sieges, so to speak, will be the same.
Right.
The ability for a commander or a group, you know, officers and stuff to think on the fly and come up with a different solution to how to get in based on what they see. It's like chess, you know, there's always one route to victory. It's boring. Like you just do it for the points. But if there's a tactical and, meaningful strategy part of the thought into it, it's going to be a lot more fun in the long run. And that's just with this microcosm here with the castle sieges. Think about how this applies into the wider game. You know, like when we're talking about node combat between and wars and how those are going to shift. This is like small scale compared to what the larger aspect's going to be. So there's going to be a lot of really, really fun breakdowns of like, you know, after action reports and stuff are going to be really fun to do, because you're going to think of, we should have gone to route C instead of going into route B and stuff. So it's going to be really fun to work into and get used to, and then build out meta specific ideas and then come up with counters to the meta. It's going to be really fun.
I'm really curious how the loot is going to end up working, because you see in the demo that people are dropping loot when they die, but if you don't have a giant map like the BR to pick up all this gear before you fight and die, is there going to just be like an armory type function where you go into a room and there's 4 chests and that's all you have to choose for your gear from, and maybe you get lucky, maybe you won't?
Yeah,
like you run down a wall and like pick your exact gear you want.
I think that's what how they're going to make it be. It's going to be a war of resources. So it's going to be maybe not so much in the one-off the sieges, castle sieges event. They may be an unlimited supply or something. Maybe there's a limited supply of axes, breastplates, and all sorts of stuff or whatever. But the long game, it will be up to that organization that's holding the castle to supply what they feel is adequate. And the spoils of war, what if you had too much supplies there and you end up losing anyways? You lose all that stuff. So like you got to be really careful and balance it, create your supply chain, that kind of stuff. So there's going to be a lot of really fun other additional to the combat ways of winning and taking these things. So adds even a 6th dimension to it, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah, that actually brings to mind like an interesting twist on it. Like, if as the owner of the castle, you could devote a certain amount of gold worth of equipment that can be dispensed during the raid or during the siege, or should you literally arm the chest and arm your armory with gear that you find and craft?
Right.
And that's what you have to fight with. It's
also probably up to you to go pink slip, so to speak. You could commit really high-end gear to the battle, or you could have a basic combat kit of like, you know, a set of blues that works really well. It's like 90% effective, so to speak. Or you could go full caboodle, bring out the big dog stuff and go, you know, literally pink slips. Like if you lose your epics, you lose. But if you need that extra 10% of power to win, that's your call as a commander to risk those assets. And I think that's awesome, because there's going to be some amount of, you know, risk reward calculation to doing these sieges. You know, if you maybe not in the, I'm not talking about the one-off, I'm talking about the actual the wider game. You know, if you are willing to commit, a group is willing to commit, you know, even legendaries, so to speak, to that asset to protect it, it becomes a much more interesting target, and you have to be worried about people coming to try to take the legendaries. Right? So
Right.
At the same time, if you had to just fund it with money, and money trickled down every time somebody opened a chest, that could create an almost completely defensible place if everyone just literally taxed the bejeebus out of all their nodes and
Right.
everyone put in their own personal money, there could become a point where there's almost no way to dwindle all their money down to zero.
I
Unless
suspect
the
there will,
entire world raised
They would
that castle.
there would be a balancing cap on the supply. We don't. This is it kind of goes back into another point. There's been hit or miss kind of conversations. There's no guaranteed that things can change, but like gold could have weight. There is evidence that said no, gold won't have weight, but we don't know if like civilization level gold will have weight. We're talking
Right.
billions of gold. What if that has weight and has a volume? You can't just store it in the keep because that's a huge target.
Yeah.
Especially if the castles end up being like front of the line kind of thing. If they are the asset that holds the node structure together or something, we don't know how the disposition of the world and how this works yet.
Right.
All we know is that the castles will tax their neighboring things, but what does that mean? We don't
Just
know.
think if gold was stored in an actual physical form and took up space and weight, you could literally have the guild leader of one castle get ready to fly into another castle being sieged. All you gotta do, guys, is break that one wall right there. I'm gonna fly
Right.
in, I'm gonna grab all the gold my dragon can carry and fly out.
Right.
And then I'll do it again, and I'll do it again and again. Just keep them busy. Keep them off of
Right.
me.
Or even think about this. What if there's a supply chain to supply the castle, right? So like if they're doing gold deliveries in a caravan because they need the weight to do it on that scale, and you go and raid the caravans so that their resources, they have a really tight defense, but you starve them out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I found interesting was also like we know that castles have their own nodes that you have to take care of.
Right.
But like it's not going to be like, "Oh, congratulations, you're now king of the castle and you have no responsibilities whatsoever." Like you're actually going to have to keep up with those nodes and make sure that you're managing the kingdom in order to have better options for like when you are in the middle of a castle siege. Otherwise, if like you let it fall to ruin, you're kind of like SOL.
Yeah.
So there's in-game upkeep. There's confirmed in-game upkeep. NPCs, guards, walls, all that stuff has to be paid for.
Mm-hmm.
There's also political upkeep. If you're pissing off your neighbors, they may not come to your when you rally the banners. They may not come to your aid, right? So there's another metagame going on of can we keep all of our keys to power happy?
Right.
Yep. All the people in all the nodes around that castle, are you going to make them happy enough that they're going to want to defend it, or they want to get rid of you because you're taxing it 79%?
Yeah, if you're a tyrant, they're not going to keep you around, right? And that's kind of goes off on a little side tangent, is tyrants in video games don't last long. It's not like in the real world, tyrants get by having guns and threat of death. In the game,
Yeah, not so effective.
Yeah.
Not so effective. You're going to have to respawn a couple times. Woe is me.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like you can read more on the 10 facts about castle sieges on their website. I'll post a link for that in the chat. But it's got a lot of interesting information on things that they're hoping and like their envisionment of what they want the castle siege to be when the MMO comes out. Not necessarily for this apocalypse part, but for the MMO. And it's kind of nice to get more of a look into what we're going to be possibly seeing for the MMORPG, and less about like apocalypse, because in long run, I'm here for the MMO, not for the little standalone side.
right?
But I mean, hey, if it's got cosmetics and there's some enjoyment to be found, because I don't really enjoy BRs, but castle sieges and horde mode sounds pretty cool, then I'm on board, especially for those cosmetics.
Yeah, I'm excited to get some practice dry run, so to speak, in. Like if you can do it, iterative organizational testing with the castle siege and then the horde mode stuff, it's gonna be awesome to grind through that process of learning how to act in a group and stuff. And like we said before, does our system work? Does our leadership work? Does our strategy work? I like that. It's a definite nice tool to have, especially when in the real game you can't experiment as much. There's risks,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be a really, really competitive apocalypse scene on the side, where all the guilds are like basically vying for dominating a metagame, and then somebody's going to come out of the blue with a pocket strat in the real world and completely dominate people. It's going to be fun.
Right.
See, that's also like something mentioned in that 10 facts about the castle sieges that I really liked. Is the strategy is going to be required with the capture points and seasons. Man, I cannot tell you how happy I am that they're actually incorporating seasons into everything.
Me too. I'm totally excited to see what the world, like how the world's going to change with that, and what the weather will affect. Snowdrifts and stuff, and whatever it is. Those are all going to be really fun and haven't been seen before, really, in a game yet. So
Right.
I'm just saying, build a rogue type setup, get yourself some snow camo, and just sneak in under the cover of snow, quite literally.
Right.
I also like that they're saying as a goal for Intrepid Studios is to have a game with the largest amount of PvP people within it. And I think that's kind of cool because, I mean, they did say that they wanted to break a few molds with the MMORPG world, but having the largest PvP option is definitely an interesting one to go after as well.
I think that they have the expertise to do it based on their work. Some of their people have worked on PlanetSide. Game works pretty well, even with you get a lot of people in the same area, and that's a FPS, which needs more precision. So if they can do most of that, I'd be pretty happy. I don't think we're going to see the whole server in one battle kind of thing, but
that'd be really crazy though.
It's going to be interesting to see how they can handle because I think there's player collision and stuff too, which causes a little. It's interesting, hold the line at the top of the collapsed wall, and you just got 10 tanks just standing there, getting healed from behind, out of line of sight behind. It's going to be.
You get people shooting up those little grappling hooks and just coming face to face with a shield.
I can almost imagine an entire server declaring war day because it's open world PvP. So literally on this day, everyone will be at war. Pick a side, go for it.
Oh my god, it would be like a job fair. I can't raid this castle. Let me go to this other siege. Maybe I can fit in there.
Right.
Boy. But so yeah, speaking of that article there. For one, did you notice that there's the little runes outlining some of the castle images?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm glad that I think Bacon probably did that. He's a big dwarf nut, and he would definitely be the one to kind of put those kind of things in. I'm curious to see if they're going to come up with their own dwarf rune system. I hope they do. They can use our custom rune system if they would like, but that's a thing I believe Steven will want to do. He's very very RP and wants a lot of flavor and depth to the world like that. And I'm really excited to see what they come up with. I'm a dwarf fan. I'm excited to see what they are able to come up with and all the Easter eggs we're going to find in this huge world. So.
Yeah, somebody already brought up a little bit of an Easter egg. Z. So, yeah, in the runes, apparently you had to reverse them, and then they would come out to actually spell out Intrepid Studios over and over.
Which you can see on screen if you're watching, by the way.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool. That may have taken a minute or three to do some research and figure all that out there, Z, so... Good job, awesome. Good job. I saw that and said, we have to snipe that and we have to show people this.
Yeah, I was really amused too because I asked, my first response when Virtek showed it to me, I was like, is this real? Is this a real language thing? And he's like, yeah. And I looked through the photos that he put in our little folder and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's pretty awesome actually. So right. Yeah, Z, thank you for that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I'm really excited to see, kind of on a side topic, I'm really excited to see what some of the people that have a higher pledge can put into the game in terms of hidden stuff like that.
Sneaking their own little Easter eggs, yeah.
Yeah, putting their own little Easter eggs and language stuff in to see if they can, especially with the event that some people get to make. I really hope we have that kind of creative control.
Especially.
Really there's a missing sandal somewhere.
Yeah. Like they said that over a certain level you can actually have a statue put into the world. They didn't say what size it had to be. So you could literally have a statue of yourself on like a chessboard that's in a prominent tavern.
I just had like the funniest idea too. What if somebody else like made like, cause okay, you know how in some of the streams previously they said there may or may not, unconfirmed, be a sandal somewhere in the world where if you find it you get a boon.
Right.
Maybe. How horrible would it be if somebody else decided to do a sandal, but it's like only for that like quest line, but it's not the Steven sandal.
It's the inverse sandal. It's actually bad.
It's like that would be hilarious. Like, oh, I found this. Wait, what? And like, it's a lookalike, like similar, but a little like maybe like
doppelganger.
Yeah, kind of. Maybe there's like one shot versus two or something, and like that's how you can tell which one's the right one. But like that one could be in a more obvious place, so people are like, oh, that was easy. I found the sandal, but it's the wrong one.
Yeah, not so much.
Funny.
Not so much. So, speaking of images and such, Telkar, did you have a chance to see those two memes that we have in our little notes?
Let me pull them up.
Because we think you should pick the winner.
Yes.
I like the waiting on appearance stuff because there's a lot of things that I'm waiting for appearance stuff on.
Oh yeah.
That's
some amazing concept art, isn't it?
I'll go ahead and throw that up there right now.
Yeah, we're a little desperate for actually like Kickstarter era actual artwork and stuff. There's a lot of concept things that
get some actual models out, which I'm happy to hear that they're gonna be working on things like that. So
I like the triangle tree. I'd like one just like that outside of my appearance.
You notice the little tiny wispy cloud?
Yeah.
Or smoke coming out of the chimney? Yeah. It's pretty amazing. Just saying.
Yep.
I think I want one.
But I don't know. Aside from that, any like wrap up, like taking away from this?
To kind of help our RP community out, I kind of wanted to go into a coincidence that was not intentional, but was revealed at the last stream that they did with the playthrough of their D&D world that Steven's been running for whatever it is now, 10 years plus. That's what this world is based off of, Vera. And so in that world, there's 10 gods, right? There's 7 ones above and then 3 below. And our name, Sons of the Seven, was not based off of that. We were before this whole thing. I don't know if Steven thought we found out somehow or someone leaked, because when he first heard our name, he kind of like, remembering back, he kind of like, really, like kind of had a little bit of a stink eye with it. But nope, no relation. It's based off of the a little bit of Tolkien dwarvish lore. There was 7 dwarves that Owley created that ended up being the fathers of all of the dwarven kind. And we wanted to kind of give a little bit of a nod towards that.
Were you guys a guild full of dwarves?
We have a lot of people that like dwarvish stuff. We're not dwarf exclusive or anything, but it's definitely a focus on it. The banner has these runes on it. I'll move this up so you can see it.
And I have the logo up on the screen for those of you watching as well.
It's a little bit better to see, but we have it's really hard to zoom in on it, but we have our own custom runic Surth rune language that one of my members knows how to write and read. So he made it all on his own, and it's a custom language that we have for our guild.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
But yeah, awesome. See, I heard Sons of the Seven, and I really thought of that whole like seventh son of the seventh son thing.
Oh yeah, the movie. Yeah, it's it's whatever you want to take it to be, but I like the referral to the Tolkien lore is a good way to kind of start things off. We're not RP exclusive trying to do stuff, but we're definitely trying to help that part of the game because it's a fun thing to do in the long run. So
may Lord of the Rings survive.
Right?
May the Rings survive. Uh-oh, you got a rivalry already here.
I mean, my namesake Telkar, for those that don't know, is the dwarf smith that created the sword in the movie.
Oh yeah, I knew it sounded familiar. I was like, where is that from? Where is that from?
Where have I heard that before?
Yeah, he created that sword. The first one, not the reforged one that Elrond made, but the first one that cut the ring off. So that's where my name comes from.
Nice. That actually right now on the screen, oh man, it's gone already, but like one of the elven towers kind of remind me of Lord of the Rings a little bit. When they're up in the upper tower and there's that little platform, it just kind of, it reminds me of it. But yeah, that's why I'm going with elf, because Lord of the Rings fan. I've always been a fan of elves ever since that, so.
Cool.
Yeah. God. Okay, Virtek, anything you want to take away from today's podcast?
No, excited for stuff. Excited for things. This castle stuff cannot come soon enough. The nodes information that's due this month cannot come soon enough. But there's going to be a lot of it, and it's upcoming, and we're going to talk about it all. It's going to be great. Keep an eye out. As I mentioned when we started off, I'm starting to get better with making time for my social media stuff. Now I just got to make more time and actually do stuff with pushing like the letter keys instead of just reading the letter keys, because I don't push them as often as I should. But I'm gonna get better. Check it out on the Twitter, the Twitch eventually. The Twitter's gonna get a lot more active here soon.
And Takar, where can we find your Sons of the Seven stuff?
So we have a website, sonsofseven.com. If you want to read more about it, or if you have any questions, you can find me on Discord. I'm sure the recap video will have my Discord tag and everything on it. But you know, I don't really pay attention to Ash's discussion or anything anymore because there's just not a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But I used to be pretty active. Now I'm just, you know, like to participate in these kind of things and get really into the good discussion. So I appreciate that you'll have me on.
Oh, no pleasure, and you're welcome back anytime.
Cool.
And do you guys have a YouTube channel at all, or?
No, I think I have reserved one, or started to, but I don't have enough followers on it to do it yet. But it's a work in progress. Our good friend, the Ash and Herald, you know, Daedalus has been working with the guild for a while, and you know he's doing his own stuff. But eventually, we're trying to do some collab work together with our other content creators and make some interesting videos moving forward. So
awesome. Okay, please keep me in the loop, and also as we start to get more followers and subscribers on our YouTube channel, that'll unlock some other abilities. But for the moment, we'll go ahead and post all of the links down below in the description box, and maybe in the future I can do a direct link to your
YouTube. Sure.
Yeah. So okay, cool. And I'm Chibi Bree, and I'm super excited for Ashes of Creation Castle Sieges, whether it's Apocalypse or MMO. More excited for the MMO, but I'll take what I can get for right now, and I won't get too greedy. But I definitely am looking forward to getting more of those sweet cosmetics. So I'm hoping, we're looking right now for a guest for next week. So if you are interested, please feel free to join our Discord and come and chat with us in between our podcast and keep the conversation going. Let us know what you guys think, and if there's anything you're excited for. But yeah, in the meantime, we'll see you next Friday at 5 p.m. PST, and we'll have some more awesome Ashes of Creation content to talk about.
Cool.
So, see ya.
Everyone have a good day.
Bye.